I now know that's where the magic happens. It doesn't happen in that comfortable place where everybody's, agreeing and we're going to move as I like to stretch them a little bit further. And when you do, there's this element that we have to acknowledge when your will starts to begin to become uncompromising, or your passion starts to get more focused, or you tend to make a decision in that moment that you are going to do this. There's a shift in energy when we do that. And after all these years, I now know that nobody changes until they change their energy, period. And when you change your energy, you change your life. And in getting people to stay there then, I think is what I'm truly passionate about. To be able to regulate internal states independent of the conditions in their external environment means they're beginning to master their environment. So they're less reactionary to their boss or to their ex. They're more present with their family and their friends. They tend to have happiness and joy for no apparent reason. Their body is releasing old neurological and emotional patterns. They tend to be freer in their expression. They think better. They see futures and dream of futures and create. And they tend to lead with their hearts more in their lives. And I think that's a new model of human evolution. I always say, look, I don't care that you stop doing the work. What I care about is when you start doing it again. And being defined by a vision of the future, the alternative is to be defined by the memories of the past. To fall in love with the future is so much more important than keep falling in love with your past. To romance a future is so much better than romancing the past. So I think that when people really start seeing the benefits of their efforts, now it becomes instrumental. It's no longer that there's a dread that they have to get up and create. They notice the magic in their life and they want to keep it going. So they're excited about doing it. They're excited about changing, and they show up to certain degrees unpredictable in their life, and people notice that. They're not reacting as much, they're not complaining as much, they're not as frustrated. They're not in a program, and when you're not in the program, you're in the unknown, right? And so people start to notice, hey, something different about you, and that means then that they belong to their future now more than they belong to their past. Because if they're in a program or a habit or they're emotional, they are in their past. So I love that because we're working now in our 7-day retreats on a whole nother level. And this is what I'm passionate about. Many of our students, many of our community, people in our community can very easily create heart coherence and sustain it for extended periods of time. Many of our students know how to change their brain waves, and they know how to sustain brain coherence, beautiful brain coherence, for extended periods of time. Not just have a moment, but they know how to stay in that zone, and we've worked on practicing that in our events. 4-day events, 4.5-day events, I see people break through. They're free, but they're not fully grounded in that state. That when they return back to their lives and all of a sudden they start getting triggered in different ways, right, they lose the magic, right? So even though they're doing the work, they have to work a little harder. So, but many people, they make their way. But I thought, my goodness, well, they've worked hard in creating these type of internal states, and why not after 4 days when they break through, instead of sending them home, keep them for 3 more days, see if we can anchor this in their brain and body and challenge them to a whole nother level. And so we've created these challenge activities where they're not sitting in the room with their eyes closed. There's great music playing. They're with their friends and community, and everything is easy for them to concentrate on their inner world, right? Because the music's great. They're disconnecting from their environment. They're forgetting that they have a body. They're not in an appointment or thinking about time, and that's when the magic happens. So then I thought, well, let's put them in circumstances or situations that would challenge them to feel some emotion like anxiety, fear, or worry, to challenge them to feel uncomfortable, and see then in that moment with their eyes open, and let's see if they can begin to settle down into the present moment and begin to change that stress response, change that emotional state right in that moment when your legs are shaking or your heart is racing. And if you are able to do that and settle down and move through that experience, a few things would happen. Number one is that you would probably realize that this is where you normally stop in your life and you've just moved further. When you return back to your life, similar situations come up, you may actually settle your brain and body down with your eyes open and be able to make that change and not go into a program, because I believe that we learn the most about ourselves when we're uncomfortable, and we learn the most about others when we're uncomfortable. So why not put them in uncomfortable situations and see if they're able to do that? Number 3, if you're standing on a post at 40 feet and the little frame that you're standing on is wobbling and your heart is racing and you're able to settle yourself down and be able to execute and move through it, you may perceive the things in your life as less threatening. You may relatively say, well, this was nothing after what I've just done. Number 4, energy and emotions, as you know, tend to be stored equally or more in the body as they are in the brain. So as a person moves through their own fear, their own level of endurance, they think they can't go any further. They think it's about physical strength or think about physical endurance. It's not. It's about will. It's the mind that actually takes us there. And you train those people, then it makes sense that if they're able to do that to a certain degree, that could possibly become a new state, because as they get rid of that, or as they overcome that emotion, there's a liberation of energy. And that liberation of energy is available energy for them to design a new destiny. It's that energy being released from their past into the field. Now, that energy is chaotic energy, no doubt about it. But if they're still doing the work and we're still working with that energy, well, when it comes time to heal, or when it comes time to heal another person, or when it comes time to invest your attention and energy into the future, you have the available energy to do it. So it's almost been like an accelerator, an evolution of what we've been doing. And imagine people who have handicaps, that have spinal cord injuries, MS, lupus, chronic pain, all peripheral neuropathies. They could say, geez, I have a handicap. I don't think I can do this. But if you have a community of people that are cheering them on, that are all in love with them and in love with them going a little bit further, and there's no competition, there's collaboration, there's cooperation, there's an environment, an energy of support. And those people actually say, I'm just for now not going to see myself as handicapped. Well, that moment where they're not their identity, their known identity, is when they start becoming transcendental. That's the moment they start realizing that they could probably make some changes a little further than they ever thought they could make, and they would never have that thought until they've had that experience. Because once they have that experience, they can't return back to their life business as usual, because they now know. And once you know, you can't not know.